Hi everyone, today I have a really interesting watch. This is a Longines reference 5150. This is a pilot's watch, also sometimes referred to as an officer's field watch from around 1942. So these particular references using caliber 12L were produced around 1942 until the end of World War II, so the late 1940s. This watch is quite rare. They were produced both for militaries such as the RAF as well as civilian variants. This particular reference comes in at 32 millimeters from one extremity of the case to the other. It is all brushed material, as you can see on the entire case, stainless steel. Lug spacing is a bit interesting here, 15 millimeters, which is I guess fairly standard on an older watch such as this. Whenever there were not clear standards on lug dimensions. Now, lug to lug is also a bit interesting of a measurement, 40.5 millimeters. So the lugs here are quite sweeping, quite broad for a case that's only 32 millimeters across. On the side here, you'll see that there's this three-piece case construction, which is quite typical of the era. So you can see there's this pop-off case back here, all stainless steel, no markings. There's a brushed mid-flank, and then there is a bezel, which has a beautiful domed acrylic crystal here, which does add some additional thickness. Overall thickness here is about 12 millimeters. Let me just show you on my wrist what this looks like. Very, very wearable. Again, the lugs are a bit large, 40.5 millimeter lug to lug for the case side, but definitely very wearable. So these watches were produced typically for militaries. There was a civilian variant, so you could have purchased this directly as a civilian during World War II, but most of the primary use case, I would say, for this watch was militaries. And you can tell from the design and the overall ethos of this piece, very, very legible. So you have 12-hour dial, outer hour track, I should say, that's Arabic numerals, and you have an inner Arabic numerals that are 24 hours. Very, very legible. They are radium filled, and there's also radium filling the inside of the hour and the minute hands. You can see here that there's no radium in the hour and the minute. This at some point would have been removed during a service, but this is the original hands and original dial that appears to be relatively untouched, even though it has quite some wear and patina. You can see that the hands are blued. This is heat blued, very beautiful. Something interesting on this watch is that if I pull out the crown, you'll see that it does feature hacking seconds, which in 1942, and particularly in 1938, when this particular caliber 12L came out, was quite advanced. But all features of this watch were really created with military use, highly practical, highly functional use in mind, which is just quite awesome. That over almost 100 years later, we can look at this and just appreciate how perfectly functional that this piece is. Still something you could wear daily and quickly determine the time today. Something else that strikes me as this watch as being completely utilitarian is that there's quite a large crown here. This very easy to wind, very easy to set the time and to activate those hacking seconds. I have seen different variants of this crown. It's hard to say if this is factory or not. It appears to be factory from the best I can tell, but there's also quite a few examples of these watches that have actually a bit of an asymmetrical crown that is even larger, reminiscent of some late pocket watches. So crown is the only piece on this watch which may not be factory. Hard to say. There was a lot of variants of these watches produced in the past. So there you have it, folks. This is a beautiful Longines reference 5150. Would make a great daily wear watch even today. Very functional, very legible, and honestly just a really cool piece of vintage aviation and field watch history. Thanks so much for watching.